Now that was a very long journey, but I have now discovered all of the long lost hidden secrets to Final Cut Pro. Okay, maybe they're not long lost secrets, but they are super useful tips that for anyone using Final Cut Pro will find super useful to speed up their editing. And there are a few of them to cover in this video, so we're going to dive right into it. And the first thing we're going to be talking about actually takes place outside of Final Cut Pro. I know, already some clickbait, but the first tip lives in an app called Post Haste. And this is the app that I use to set up project templates for all of my YouTube videos. It's a super versatile app that lets you create folder structures and project templates for different things like motion graphics, photo editing, graphic design, and all of those things you need to do often you can create with this app. So I have a template set up already for my YouTube videos. I have all the folders that I need for my videos and even a Final Cut Pro template with all of the things inside it that I need to create my videos. And this app also works with Premiere and Resolve, so you can create templates for all of those different workflows for the different apps that you use. So you can set up all of your templates, but you can also set up a workflow to utilize different parameters like project ID, project name, client name, as well as the date and other different things to manage all of your projects. So I can add in all of the info I need, including the channel name that the video is for. I can then click create project and it will open that folder when it's all done. And it's there all organized, ready for me to go and start working on my next video. By the way, I've left a link to Post Haste down below in the description if you guys want to check it out and download it and use it for your own videos. But while keeping in the same organization sphere, while not a most exciting topic, is an important part of video editing. And Final Cut Pro has a multitude of ways for you to be organized when it comes to creating videos, but the main big one that I'm going to cover in this video is Smart Collections. Smart Collections intelligently organizes all of your media into buckets, or in this case collections, based on parameters that you define. You can create a new one, double click on it, and you will load up a window where you can add specific parameters that you can use to define certain media that goes into that collection. Do you want a smart collection for all of your 60 FPS footage? Well, you can do that. Do you want to separate your images, your music and sound effects, or maybe even find specific videos you've tagged with a keyword? Well, you can do that too. It is a super useful tool and I use them all the time when I'm editing. And some ways that I use them is to help me find sound effects, or help me find particular pieces of music, or help me find certain shots that I need, whether they come from After Effects or Apple Motion, or if they're just B-roll shots that I want to include in my videos. I give them a role inside of my library, and then I use the Smart Collections feature to just filter out those particular files that have been given that particular role. And that's just one example of how I've used Smart Collections in my editing process. There are so many ways you can use this feature, and personally, the more organized you are and the more automated you can make that process, the quicker you can get to editing. I am full of segues today because the next thing I want to talk about is editing, and more specifically, editing with keyboard shortcuts. I use keyboard shortcuts all the time, and if you watch any of my other videos, you'll know how much I talk about keyboard shortcuts, and I've actually linked a video up here and the description below a few of the pro editing tips and tricks that I've used keyboard shortcuts for. And in those videos I talk about ones like J, K and L for speeding up your editing process while you're watching back footage. However, I want to talk about some other keyboard shortcuts today that are my personal favorite when it comes to actually editing on the timeline. And the first on my list of keyboard shortcuts are Trim Start and Trim End. These two are by far my most used shortcuts in Final Cut Pro. It's simple as it sounds. It's trimming the beginning of a clip and then trimming the end of a clip. By using the Alt or Option keys on your keyboard and combining them with the square, left or right bracket keys, you can trim the start or the end of a clip depending on where your skimmer or playhead is on the timeline. And this is super useful for quickly trimming down clips that you have on your timeline by moving your mouse across them and then just using the keyboard shortcuts to trim the start and trim the end of that media. I also combine this with the Range tool for some serious trimming. Editing power, I guess you could call it. It's a super useful combo. By pressing the R key to bring up the Range tool and then using the I and O keys, you can create a range on your timeline. These ranges help you create more editing decisions where you can delete sections of the timeline or keep sections of the timeline. If you drag out a range on your timeline and then use the option / key, you save that portion of the range that you had selected and delete the rest of the clip around it. You can even use the range tool to create audio dips in your music or audio files. Just drag a range out and then pull down on the audio band that you see on the clip, and it will create keyframes for you for the dips and the rise in the audio. No more clicking around on the timeline to add those keyframes, which, by the way, you still can do by holding down the option key and then clicking on the volume line of the timeline. I personally find the range tool much faster. This video is sponsored by Epidemic Sound. For those that have known me for a little while now, you'll know how much I love and use Epidemic Sound all the time in my videos. In fact, the entire opening sequence to this video that you just saw was done with music and sound effects from Epidemic. I've been using their services for years now, and I'm still always impressed by the quality of stuff you can find on their site. And along with that, they have a huge library of over 35,000 original, professionally produced music tracks and 90,000 sound effects for you to pick from. And one of the best things about Epidemic is that they own 100% of the rights for all of their music, so you haven't got to worry about receiving copyright claims or strikes or takedown notices on your videos. And their personal plan is great if you're like me and you create content on YouTube, but you stream on Twitch and create different kinds of content in multiple different places. And what's cool with that plan is you can cover multiple platforms like a YouTube channel, your Twitch channel, your Facebook, your Instagram, and even a podcast if you have one of those as well. And if you cancel your subscription after your trial period and you're worried about all those old videos that have music and sound effects from Epidemic, don't worry, those videos are still protected and safe from copyright claims, strikes, and takedowns. So, if you guys are interested in adding high quality music and sound effects to your YouTube videos, then make sure you sign up for the personal plan using the link down below in the description to receive a free 1-month trial today. And now, moving on to the next topic, presets, but more specifically, saving your own. I'm sure we've all done that thing where we open up an old project just to grab and copy and paste the color correction settings that we've used and then bring them over to the new one we're working on. Trust me, we've all done that. I'm guilty of it as well. But in Final Cut Pro, it is super easy to create effects presets that you can use for multiple different kinds of projects. And let me just show you how easy that is. Here in Final Cut Pro, I have loads of color correction filters that I use in my videos all the time. Then I want to use these in multiple videos without having to copy and paste settings from one project to another. And so, simply all I need to do is at the bottom of the inspector, there is a Save Effects Presets button. So give it a name, give it a category if you like, and then when you save it, it will appear inside of your effects browser. And now I have that effect saved for multiple videos that I want to use it for in the future. Now, this is where it gets super cool. Jump on over to where you save those effects presets. By right-clicking on them inside of the effects browser, you can either save it as a default video effect or a default audio effect, which means by a quick keyboard shortcut, you can apply those custom presets that you've made to your videos instantly. And doing this saves so much time. Look at how quick it takes me to drop my clip into the timeline. I'm done. Look, I didn't even get a chance to finish the sentence. That's how quick it is. And by the way, you can also do that with titles too by going to the title browser, right-clicking and choosing Set Default Title. I have an adjustment layer set up as my default title, so all I need to do is drag a range out, apply the title to my timeline, and then I can add effects and filters and plugins to my project super easily. And now once you've done all of your editing, it's then time to export. And one of, if not the most underused feature in Final Cut Pro is export bundles. What are they, you might ask? Well, Let me explain. An export bundle is a bunch of export presets that Final Cut Pro will do at the same time. Say you want a 1080p export for YouTube, but you might also want a 720p export for Discord or Instagram or Twitter, things like that. Well, you can bundle all of those up into an export bundle, and then you can click that option inside of the export window and it will create all of those video files for you with a single click. You can even use this for things like podcasts. Say, for example, you have a video and audio podcast that you put up on YouTube, but you only want the audio from that video for Spotify and Apple Music. Well, this will do just that. Add an audio only export to the bundle along with your video and audio preset that you use, and it will export both one after the other. But let's say you use a particular export preset a lot. Say, for example, you use the Save Current Frame export preset inside of Final Cut Pro. You can give that a dedicated shortcut as well. And you can do this by going to System Preferences, clicking on Keyboard, and then going to App Shortcuts. Just add a new application and select Final Cut Pro, add your shortcut, and then make sure that the name of your export preset matches the name of the menu item inside of the shortcut. Don't forget the 3 dots at the end and the ellipses, you'll need those as well. I'd also make sure that these keyboard shortcuts you're using don't conflict with Apple's own keyboard shortcuts inside of Final Cut Pro, so go to the keyboard menu and just make sure that nothing's, gonna mess up for you. And now by using that keyboard shortcut, you will open up the export window for your particular preset, whether it's a Save Current Frame or an export bundle that you've chosen. And finally, the last thing, and this one is a pretty big one, and it's how I use the Stream Deck XL to help me edit faster. Now I know not everyone will have a Stream Deck, but this same thing will work on things like the Loop Deck or Touch Portal or any other kind of macro-based device that you use. And let me show you how I do it. I have custom designed icons for different actions on my Stream Deck that I do in Final Cut Pro all the time, as well as things that I don't do in Final Cut Pro all the time that I forget the keyboard shortcuts for, but I want to utilize in my workflow a lot more. If I want to add cross-dissolve to all of my audio at once, I just push a single button on my Stream Deck and boom, I have crossfades for all of my audio files. Or if I want to open up Affinity Designer or Affinity Photo to jump in and do some graphic design, I can do that with a single press of a button. Or I can even go to Epidemic Sound and find the music for my next video. And I bet some of you didn't even know you can use the exact same thing for folders as well. I have hotkeys set up on my Stream Deck to go to my projects folder, my exports folders, my music and sound effects, and my resources folders for my videos that I can access with the push of a button. And all you need to do to set it up is by dragging in the open or hotkey action from the Stream Deck app and then add a custom icon to it that you can design in Affinity Designer or even the Elgato website. Add that custom icon you made to the button and now you have a button you can press to access that folder you use all the time, like your OBS recordings folder or your exports or projects folder. And that is probably single-handedly the biggest reason why I use a Stream Deck XL for editing my YouTube videos. And I hope this video was helpful to you guys. If you guys enjoyed it and maybe found something new out about Final Cut Pro that you didn't know before, then let me know in the comments down below, give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. And until next time guys, I will see you all in the next video. Take care.